Well, joining me now is Jonathan Martin, senior political reporter and blogger at Politico.com. Jonathan, thanks for being with us. So today, Clinton announced this $70 billion plan to pump money into the economy. What does her plan propose?
Well, what she wants to do, Anderson, is try and provide states some assistance with helping people with foreclosures. Also wants to address the energy crunch and give people some subsidies to pay for their heating bills this winter. Furthermore, she wants to start doing some tax rebates, giving folks some money back, and then also to extend unemployment benefits for folks who still can't find work.
I mean, people say in the polls the economy's #1 issue. Are you hearing that at these rallies? Are you hearing that at these Ask the Candidate forums?
You sure do, more and more, Anderson. At the start, for Democrats, it was more Iraq. For Republicans, it was primarily immigration that you heard at these events. More and more recently, though, questions about the price of gas, health care, the economy, jobs, the real kitchen table issues are now rising to the fore. And I think you're seeing candidates, Anderson, respond to that like Senator Clinton did today on the campaign trail.
In Michigan, it's turning into a do-or-die contest for Mitt Romney. He's trailing, obviously, John McCain in the polls. The unemployment rate there is 7.4% in November. That's almost 3 points higher than the national average. It's unbelievable. In terms of economic matters, do the voters believe any Republican candidate has an edge over any of the others?
It's certainly a state that's been hit with tough times, and it's been fascinating to watch. In Iowa and New Hampshire, they were talking about issues like immigration, certainly the war, national security, which is a strength for McCain. Now, both McCain and Romney, the two Michigan frontrunners, Anderson, are talking about jobs and the economy. They recognize that as the preeminent issue in that state, and both of them are trying to address it on the stump and in television ads.
Let's turn also to this other big story today. Both Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton have come under fire recently about some comments made, which some African Americans say have negative racial overtones. The other day, while talking about Martin Luther King, Hillary Clinton tried to make a point about the power of the presidency in passing the Civil Rights Act. Some took that as kind of diminishing what Dr. King did. Bill Clinton called Obama's record a fairy tale, and today he called into Al Sharpton's radio show to try to set the record straight. Let's listen to what he said.
Sure.
And the point I was trying to make is there's really no difference between his voting record and Hillary's on Iraq. So I stand by what I said, but the reports that I claimed his campaign or that he personally or that he in any way was disrespectful and said they were a fairy tale, that's just not true.
Does this have legs? I mean, has this hurt the Clintons among African Americans, particularly in South Carolina, or is this sort of just one of those things the media is focusing on?
I think it has the potential to hurt her, Anderson. There are two things going on here. First, I think some African Americans had some real concerns about what the Clintons said in the past few days, but there's no question that there's politics here at work too. It helps Obama, it helps his campaign to try and push these issues into the fore in a place like South Carolina, where about half of the Democrat voting population in the primary is going to be African American. So, yeah, there are some real concerns, but also this is going to help Obama politically here as well. So he is certainly enjoying seeing these questions raised tonight.
It is always good to have you on the program. I appreciate you being on. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Anderson.
All right, have a good night.
And our CNN contributor and Democratic strategist, Donna Brazile. Let me ask you, Donna, what do you think? Did the former president resolve this matter? Did he, sort of clarify exactly what he meant?
President Clinton went on several nationally syndicated black radio stations today to clarify his remarks. Look, I take the president at his word that he was not being condescending, he was not being insulting, rather he was pointing out Senator Obama's previous statements on Iraq and where he perhaps might stand now. Look, Wolf, this is a very exciting moment for Democrats. It's a historic moment. If Dr. King were alive, he would be excited to see at least the Democratic Party offering an African-American man and a white woman as our two top choices for the presidency, not to take away anything from Senator John Edwards, who Dr. King would also applaud for raising the issue of poverty in this race. I think the president understands now that when you use those words, some people take offense, but we know Bill Clinton. We love Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton has soldiered in the fields for people of color. He shouldn't take out all his pain on Barack Obama. It's time that they regroup, figure out what Hillary needs to do to get her campaign back on track. It sounds like sour grapes coming from the former commander-in-chief, someone that many Democrats hold in high esteem. For him to go after Obama using fairy tale, calling him a kid as he did last week, is an insult. And I tell you, as an African-American, I find his words and his tone to be very depressing.
By New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo. You have this whole flap over MLK and LBJ. Plus you have the Congressman James Clyburn story that was in the New York Times today. And trust me, the Clinton campaign does not want to tick Clyburn off. And so that got their attention, him saying that he was bothered by these comments as well as some others, and very well might endorse it over Obama. That's really what this is about.
James Clyburn is the highest-ranking African-American in Congress. He's the majority whip in the House, the number 3 Democrat in the House of Representatives. Gloria, go ahead.
You know, this is all about Hillary Clinton winning. This is not about race. I mean, I was in Selma, Alabama this past spring when Bill Clinton came to be with Hillary Clinton because he didn't want her to be outshone by Barack Obama in that march in Selma. And, you know, Bill Clinton is a rock star in the African-American community, but he did have to take a little bit of a back step here because he understands that he may have gone a bit overboard, Wolf.
Jack, you want to talk about
it? It is about race, though. It is about race.
There's some suggesting, I mean, Clyburn, among others, including our own Donna Brazile, suggesting that they were a little concerned about what the former president had said earlier in the week with that so-called fairy tale remark.
Let me just throw this out there. Barack Obama has conducted his campaign without any reference whatsoever to race up to this point. He didn't react to the Clinton stuff. He's not talking about it being racial, but suddenly everybody else is. This is nonsense.
No. First and foremost, you've got a couple of Obama spokesmen who have raised some points as well. And sure, but when I say it's about race, it is about the competition.
I said Obama hadn't raised it.
No. Well, of course Obama's not going to raise it because that's why he has surrogates who also raise it. He has to walk a very fine line in this campaign because absolutely he doesn't. But because he has to play the dance, Jack, that African Americans who are operating in mainstream America have to play, and that is when you don't want to necessarily raise issues of race. It is a very delicate issue, and trust me, his campaign is very sensitive to it. But when I say it's about race, they're going to South Carolina, so you have this whole competition. This whole back and forth. And so when Clinton made this comment about MLK and LBJ, when she said that, well, it took a president to sign it into law, people took it as offense as her criticizing MLK. She said that wasn't the intention, but even Clyburn was she did back off it. Yeah. But even Clyburn was bothered by it, that whole inference. And so trust me, you have a little dance going on here on the competition, and the Clintons don't want to upset African Americans.
You said in 2004 you didn't know how you would have voted on the resolution. You said in 2004 there was no difference between you and George Bush on the war, and you took that speech you're now running on off your website in 2004, and there's no difference in your voting record and Hillary's ever since. Give me a break. This whole thing is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen.
Today, Senator Obama used President John F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to criticize me. And, basically compared himself to two of our greatest heroes, saying, well, they gave great speeches. President Kennedy was in the Congress for 14 years. He was a war hero. He was a man of great accomplishments and readiness to be president.
Any disrespect for Barack Obama, but the former president says he's standing by his criticism of the way the Obama portrays his stance on Iraq. Let's go to Brian Todd. He's watching this story for us. The former president trying to clarify his remarks today in a series of radio interviews. What's the bottom line, Brian?
He's trying to clear his record, Wolf, trying to clarify everything. With the race so tight, the stakes so high between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, this back and forth between Bill Clinton and Obama's camp has big implications. The former president got right back in the middle of it just a short time ago. First, the former president wants to make clear what's not a fairy tale about Barack Obama.
There's nothing fairy tale about his campaign. It's real strong, and he might win.
Bill Clinton's concerned he was taken out of context when he said this just before the New Hampshire primary about Obama's claim that Obama's always been against the Iraq War.
Well, how could you say that when you said in 2004 you didn't know how you would have voted on the resolution? You said in 2004 there was no difference between you and George Bush on the war, and you took that speech you're now running on off your website in 2004, and there's no difference in your voting record and Hillary's ever since. Give me a break. This whole thing is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen.
That drew this reaction from the senator from Illinois.
As I said from the start that Iraq was a bad idea, that we should not have gone in. Bill Clinton was taking some liberties with my statements.
Obama did say in 2004 there wasn't much of a difference between his position and President Bush's on Iraq.
I stand by what I said, but the reports that I claimed his campaign or that he personally or that he in any way was disrespectful and said they were a fairy tale, that's just not true.